Welcome back to the channel. My name is Steven. I'm a pharmacist and I've been investing in real estate for 8 years. So I'm kind of going on a rant here, and it's just the grind and the delayed gratification of building wealth. So obviously you've been following my journey, and realistically, there's no get rich quick. You have to be patient, and it takes time in order for your wealth to compound, for your real estate to stabilize and compound and get better. And it takes time for your skill set to improve over time. And for those of you going the real estate journey, you know, if you follow my channel, it takes about 10 to 15 years to stabilize your real estate, to make it from active to passive. And it's a grind. Like a lot of the, Bigger Pockets, which I watch, a lot of the podcasts, they make it seem like, this person went from, 0 to 100 doors in 2 years, but they're not financially free yet. They just built themselves another job, whether it's fix and flipping, wholesaling, YouTube, real estate brokerage. They just changed their current active job to another job. And, Bigger Pockets, they bring in a lot of people who are more entrepreneurially oriented, or they own their own business. So it's quite different in that sense. And, I think the most realistic path is like my path. Like I am W-2, albeit a higher income W-2. But, I feel like if you hone your skills in your W-2 world, it's more within your control to move up. Like for me, I would just hop around hospitals and went to a hospital that paid me the most. Like it didn't matter what your skills or experience are in the hospital setting. The hospital, they each have their own pay rate. So if, like, for example, Kaiser may pay you $100 an hour for 1 year of experience, but if you go to 1 year experience at Stanford, maybe they'll pay you $80 an hour. So it's a $20 delta, not based on your skill experience, it's just based on the pay scale. And, for me, I got a master's degree, got certifications, took shitty jobs, like shitty director jobs to get the experience, and then, eventually I moved my way up, and now I'm getting paid pretty well for a pharmacy leader position. So, it takes time, but it's very realistic to improve your skill set. Like, you have to think, are you the person at your W-2 who's just doing the bare minimum, who's asking for help, who's not offering the soft solutions? If that is you, there's nothing wrong with that, but just know that you're not going to really move up, or you're not going to hone your skill set to move up. So, and I've said this before, like how you do one thing is how you do everything. So if you're half-assing your W-2 job, then you're half-assing everything else in your life, if I'm being honest. So, that's why I try to do everything to its highest potential and fullest potential, and, make sure that I'm very consistent in how I do everything in my life. Like, I make sure that I am putting all my W-2 in my business, in my health, in my relationships. I try to give 100%. And this is what I mean by delayed gratification. Like, I am worth multi-millions, right? Like, I could legitimately spend the next 6 to 12 months to sell my real estate, pay off my primary, dump the rest in index funds, have a nice reserve fund, and live off that 4% rule of probably $5 million, which is $200K a year, mostly tax-free, and I'd have a paid-off house. And my wife and I live humbly, so we can retire off of that and live a good life right now, right? And this is the hardest part for me, is I know I can do that, but I'm trying to delay this longer and longer and longer and kick the can down the road. Like, I almost tried to trick myself that, I just keep on kicking the can down the road and give, more time for my real estate to marinate, give more time for my assets to marinate, obviously make more W-2 income, which I could use to, invest, to pay down debt, to build a reserve. So, I'm doing all this, but, year 8's tough because I know it's about 10 years of grind, and I have 2 more years in the journey at least, like probably 2 to 5 years, and I just got to get to that finish line, right? And, for me, I'm impatient. Like, I'm starting to get impatient. Like, I just want to sell my 20 unit and get that over with. Just build my 2 ADUs, get that over with. I want to maybe sell another asset and pay off my primary, get that over with, right? Get my mobile park money back, get that over with. Build up my reserves, continue investing in Vanguard index funds, VEG, and get that over with, and move on to the next journey. So, I'm getting tested. Like, I want to lifestyle inflate. I want to not have to stress as much, doing like 2-3 jobs, right? So it's like getting tested, right? And like my wife and I, we know our quality of life is not necessarily improving. If we were to buy a rental, if we were to invest in index funds, if we were to spend more money, because like our lifestyle is exactly the same. And the only biggest lever of our lifestyle improving is basically paying off our primary, which we can do. And then I think the real estate, for the most part, it's not that much of a headache right now. My 20 unit, relatively speaking, is the most headache right now because, it's the most labor intensive. It's not performing the greatest compared to the rest of the portfolio. And for me, I'd rather just sell it, take whatever money I have left over and use that to go build my 2 ADUs. And maybe I have to finance some of the ADUs, put some cash in. But if I do finance it, then, I have a line of credit, and I probably want to pay off that line of credit as soon as possible, so I'd work towards that. But I just want to move to that next step because I know that the 20 units is not part of my financial freedom plan, my financial independence plan. So I just want to move away from it, take the money, and go build my ADUs, which is going to take a year to build that. And I'm sure when I'm building ADUs, there's different headaches, there's different, headache that goes with it and mindset that goes with it. Like this, I've been asking this guy over the past 3 weeks for a quote for ADU, and he keeps on saying he'll give it to me, and he has it, but it took him 3 weeks. I'm like, dude, this is a red flag already. Like, if you're this sloppy and this lazy of giving someone a quote before I even give you money, like, it tells me all I need to know, right? So, in a weird way, it's a test, and I'm not in a rush because, I have to sell my 20 unit in order to progress, but I just kind of feel like I'm kind of stuck in this, like, middle ground, and, losing patience, getting kind of bored, honestly, and, just wanting to move to that next phase of my life, right? So that's why, like, when I hear the concept of just sell it all and dump it in index funds, it sounds very appealing to me. Like, honestly, when I hear that, I'm thinking about it, but I know long-term wealth-wise, it's better to hold on to some real estate, right? Like, yes, I can offload some and simplify, pay off some debt, pay off my primary, but it's still nice to own levered real estate with, historically once in a lifetime low interest rates, and just ride that out, right, for a long period of time. Like, I don't think we'll ever get 3% interest rates ever again. Realistically, I think it's going to be 5, which I'd be happy of 5. But, I'm starting to lose that patience. But, I think for me, I've built most of my wealth by being patient. And like I said, in a weird thing, you would think that, like, oh, I'm on year 8 of 10, I'm further along. But, like, it gets even worse because, like, I know I could leave. I know I don't have to work. I know I can just do whatever I want and live life on my terms. But, it's my portfolio is not where it needs to be, and I still want to, like, do real estate long term, and you have that patience and let things marinate. And I know if I give it, 5 more years, it'll be even better, right? And I'll definitely be a no-brainer, right? And for me, 5 years would be, 40 or 41. So it's still very young. And, like, for me, I'm the type to get bored recently. Like, I have so many videos talking about boredom and, like, just conquering your boredom. So, like, for me, when I get bored, it's time for me to distract myself, right? So, like, I don't want to do stupid shit and sell my real estate that I don't want to sell. Like I said, I have some that I do want to sell, right? Like, I have 2 identified that are older, more CapEx intensive, and just kind of the black sheep of my portfolio. So those are the ones I want to offload, and then the rest I'll keep and build some ADUs. And so, like, I just know what it's going to look like. I'm getting better at the operations management of my portfolio overall, right? Optimizing my insurance. I've looked at all my personal and business expenses and lowered it significantly as much as I could. I shopped my insurance around, and right now I have the best insurance rates, but obviously some are going to renew in a couple months, and hopefully they don't skyrocket on me. And I'm trying to clean up my LLCs, as you guys know, and get rid of some LLCs and allocate that money towards umbrella insurance policy, which is better asset protection for California. I am really tracking my income and my expenses now, and operating like an operator. Making extra principal payments on my primary to pay that off faster. I'm investing in Vanguard Growth Index Fund, which is super easy and passive, and I believe in the AI boom. For my content creation, it's slow and steady, right? Like, I just post every single day on my commute to work and back from work. So I have a system there, but, not really blowing up, not really making crazy amount of money from YouTube. Obviously, if I could blow up like a lot of the big content creators, it would be better for me to make more money. I'm working on becoming a real estate broker license, but, I only do one course every 18 days. So I'm about course 3 of 8. So I'm hoping to be done by, June, July of 2026. And then from there, really work to advertise homes, and maybe that'll give me a distraction of what to do, right? To drive to new home communities, film some content there, talk about the homes, talk about the communities, and then, try to sell some of these new construction homes. In California, to people for primary residence, and for Huntsville and, Oklahoma, I would sell you a new construction there for more as a rental, right? Built to rent community. So, for me, I just want to move on to the next phase and distract myself. And I think that might be what it is. Like, for the first time in oh my God, 20 years, I want to say, I'm actually thinking about playing video games again. I was the type of person who'd be like, you know what, video games are a waste of time. Only people who sit at home playing video games are deadbeat. And I was focused on building my business, on building investing and my job. And this is the first time where I'm like, dude, everything's on autopilot almost. My job's on autopilot, my investing's on autopilot, and I already have a plan. I have my 5-year financial freedom plan to hit my cash flow goal and to optimize my portfolio for easy life. So that's hashed out. Obviously when I become a real estate broker, I'm sure I'll get some excitement from that, but I don't really expect to sell a lot in the beginning. If I sell 3 to 4 homes a year, honestly, that's probably overachieving in my mind. I'll still create content every single day. It doesn't take that much effort because I love to just talk, but I don't know where content's going to grow. I have been growing a lot, and I don't know what opportunities this will open up for me in the future, right? So I'm very much open-minded to it. Career-wise, I'm pretty much stuck at my current job. It pays very well. It's, great people, great team, and I just get 3% raises every single year, but it's not many jobs are out there that are going to be much better than this one. So, I know I'm going to be here for a while. So, it's just life's living on autopilot, every single day. I literally blinked my eye. I blink a lot. So I blinked 1,000 times. And then, I literally remember it being Monday, and now it's Friday, and now it's the weekend, and then it's going to be Monday, and it's going to be Friday, it's the weekend. And, dude, time's just freaking flying. That's what's scary about it. Time is, as I'm aging, time is flying even faster. I was just, looking at, my Google photo album, and I could see stuff from, 2024. I'm like, holy shit, that was a year ago. 2023, oh my God, it was 2 years ago. 2022, when I first moved to Santa Monica, it's 3 years ago. I'm just or 4 years ago almost. So I was like, oh my God, in a blink of eye, I moved to SoCal at 30, and now I'm 36. In the blink of my eye, my mom passed away when I was 29, and then now, boom, it's been 7 years. Time really flies, and that's why I always take massive action and try to do things as fast as possible, because I know when you're on autopilot, I feel like people, this is a crazy analogy, but I just want to hit a point. Most people are zombies on autopilot. They just do the same thing every single day. They're gonna blink their eye, and all of a sudden they're old, right? And I'm seeing it because I just remember graduating college. I just remember graduating pharmacy school. I remember getting my first job. I remember getting fired not too long ago, and that was literally 13 years ago, right? I remember moving to SoCal, that was only 6 years ago, and then now all these days, if you ask me what I did 2 weeks ago, I have no idea what I did. It's all a blur. Things are blending in together, and then your brain is trained to conserve energy, and if you're on autopilot, that's what it does. So that's why for me, I want to live a life not on autopilot. I want to live a life that's intentional on my terms. I want to do what I want whenever I want, right? Right now, my day is literally like this. I'll wake up around 6:30. I will listen to a podcast or something as I'm getting ready for work, eat breakfast in my car as it drives itself, and then I'll listen to a podcast. I'll record some content, show up to work, I'm there until 4:30, drive home stuck in traffic, listen to podcasts, music, record content, and like I'll get home, and then usually like we'll prepare dinner, we'll eat, and then we will like go for a walk, go to the gym, watch whatever is like popular right now on Netflix. Like we watch everything, watch some sports, watch Olympics, and then basically that's Monday through Friday. And then on Saturday, Sunday, if my wife's not working, then we usually have an activity planned. Like Valentine's Day is tomorrow, so I planned a nice Wagyu yakiniku place, and we're gonna go to the mall and let my wife pick out whatever she wants to buy as a gift, and just explore that area and have a good time, right? So that's basically what it is and what we're gonna do. So it's not too bad of a lifestyle in doing that. So I don't know why this guy's honking me like I freaking signaled and gave you time. And another interesting thing is like life's on autopilot, and like it's just scary to me. Like I see so many people like in W2 jobs who are like co-workers, and the guy just gave me the middle finger. It's nice. See, like people like this are on autopilot, and they're that reactive to situations, right? So these are people, zombies. Like this guy who just drove by and flicked me off, like he's probably a zombie in life. He has to go to work. He has to, just could be a job that they may or may not like, and they have no control over their lifestyle, right? So it's really interesting way to think about it, and to really live life on your terms. And like most people you see, they're on autopilot. Like and time freaking flies, dude. Like I just see people, they're just like living day by day, not being intentional, and like all of a sudden time flies. And maybe they're happier than me because they think that way, but for me, I always think like I'm in a matrix, and you're trying to break out of the matrix, for lack of a better word. And that's really all it is. And for me, I see it, and I want to break out of it, and live life intentionally on my terms. But most of the people, they're just literally on autopilot, and we're in this like weird state. And to me, it's just kind of depressing and morbid to think about that. So like for me, I see people who've been at their job for like a long 20, 30, 40 years, and I'm just like, oh my god, like it seems so boring to be there. And time just flies, right? And I get it, you blink your eye and time flies. And when you work a 9 to 5, you live for like 2 days a week that you get to have fun. But realistically, like I only get to enjoy Saturday, because Sunday you're just tired and you're trying to prepare for work. So like after work, I only spend probably 6 to 10 p.m. with my wife and my future kids. It's 4 hours. But versus if you're like retired and you're financially independent, like you have way more time to spend more time with your family. If you spend 8 hours with your family or your wife or your kids, you doubled it compared to most people, because most people are just on autopilot zombies, showing up to their W2 or whatever. So but I kind of get it too. Like if like I'm retired, I travel a lot, like eventually it's gonna feel the same, right? It's gonna lose the novelty. It's just gonna feel like everyday routine and all that stuff. So that's all it is, really. It's really a massive routine, and you just go through life on autopilot. So I get it, everything gets boring and repetitive over time, but I think for me, it's just having the freedom to do what you want when you want, right? Like for example, today, like I woke up, I was like, oh god, I don't feel like going to work today. And if you work a W2, you gotta suck it up and go to school or go to work, right? But if you are financially dependent, like, well, shoot, you can wake up and you can choose to work or not to work, and it's really up to you, right? So and that's what I mean by I'm losing patience and I'm losing all that. I'm just like, oh my god, like I got to restructure this portfolio. I got to optimize it for cash flow instead of appreciation. Right now it's heavily geared towards appreciation, and one could argue maybe the appreciation is done, right? Especially like in expensive markets like California and in the West Coast or the East Coast. Like maybe we've only seen the appreciation we've had, unless interest rates were to drop again, and all that. So not trying to come off as whiny, but just sharing like the journey of going through real estate and building wealth. And even when you build wealth, like it's still a grind, it's still difficult, it's just a different problem that you're dealing with. And I said this before, like new levels, new devils, right? Like I know a lot of, on podcasts, like a lot of co-founders where, you know, their company's worth $1 million, but they're paying themselves enough just to get by because they're reinvesting all the money back into the business or back into the company. And then like they're broke, they sell their company at an exit, and now they're rich. And they're like, what do I do next, right? And then they realize that, you know, they really appreciate the journey, the grind. So, you know, in a weird way, I am bored, I am doing that, but I'm trying to set myself up for my next chapter of my life, right? Because I know when I'm retired, I'm a busybody, I have to do things. So I'm just setting up, you know, a way that I'll still be making active income. Maybe not as much as I'm making right now, but I don't need to because I have a paid off house. I have passive income from real estate, from my 4% roll, my stock portfolio. But, you know, maybe I'm gonna become a real estate broker and sell a home here and there, make a little bit of money here and there. You know, I'll continue to YouTube, make a little money here and there. You know, courses, coaching, not as popular nowadays, but, you know, money here and there. You know, do some pharmacist contracting gigs that may happen when Kaiser goes on strike. So, you know, maybe I just can pick up a week or two and make a lot of money when Kaiser goes on strike every single year. Or I can pick up a contracting gig for like 6 weeks, do consulting, which I do a lot on the side in terms of like pharmaceutical companies. So yeah, there's many ways to like make money, and you know, maybe one day I can speak at events or write a book. Like, who knows, right? That's the social media route. So it's quite interesting, you know, seeing this and setting it up. And like I said, my active income, like if all in all, I'm making like $60,000 to $100,000 active income between all my little side hustles. Like honestly, that's good enough. That's good enough for me, and it's gonna be very tax efficient because I can write off a lot of things. I can write off my healthcare, I can write off my mileage, I can hire my kids in the future and pay them a wage and invest in their Roth, right? So there's ways to funnel money to your kids in a more tax efficient manner. So that's what I'm planning to do. So I'm trying to tee that up for now, and I'm being patient because I've been, you know, creating social media content for 3 years, and you know, finally hit 12K subscribers, which by most standards in COVID, that's really slow growth, right? So it's all about setting it up and being patient. So that's what I'm saying. Being patient is my superpower. But even I crack, right? Like there's days I'm just like, you know what? Like, why am I doing this? Why am I grinding myself? And on days like this is when I distract myself. So like, what is it? Like, I'll just go to a concert. I'll plan an activity. I will hang out with some friends. Maybe I'll buy the new Zelda video game, you know, Echoes of Wisdom or Words of Wisdom. I forgot the name, but like, you know, I've maybe just do that, distract myself so that I can just let my compounding happen, distract myself from this dissatisfaction I feel, and then just continue working and blink my eye, and maybe another few years will fly by and I'll be in a much stronger cash flow position and would have paid off a significant amount of my house and be good, right? Because my wife and I, we already talked about it, but the moment that we have enough reserves of 100,000, we're just gonna, whatever money we make after that, we're just gonna literally dump it at our primary or dump it in investing in VUG, Vanguard Growth Index Fund, or if we have an AUD with a loan on it, you know, save that money towards the AUD or ADU. So that's kind of the goal, and that's kind of the strategy we have. And like I said, it's not very fulfilling to be like, oh, I'm just working literally just to pay off my house, and you don't see the money, it doesn't improve your lifestyle. So this is what I mean by you get tested, right? I'm in year 13 of living humbly. Like, don't get me wrong, I travel a lot, and because I allocate all my money towards traveling, that's what brings my wife and I the most joy, and we allocate a lot of money towards activities because that's what brings us the most joy. But everything else, like, we pretty much skimp on. Like clothes, we buy on sale. You know, we try to buy things on discount. We buy things on Temu, Amazon, like whatever's cheaper. Like we'll look for whatever the cheapest alternative is. And you know, that brings us joy right now. And you know, for us, like we find a lot of fulfillment doing, like, you know, free activities. Like Sundays we'll go rollerblading along the beach, along the bike path. We'll go bicycling. You know, there's a lot of free events in LA, which is nice about LA. And like, you know, we enjoy ourselves, like not spending that much money, and because we're very intentional, we're very methodical in how we do all that. So, you know, that's really what it is. So for me, I just need to distract myself when I'm feeling bored, when I'm feeling like unmotivated. So maybe I'm playing video games. Maybe I, you know, pick up playing tennis again. Maybe I hang out with more of my friends, or just like start meeting up people. Because like, you know, for me, I notice like it helps the week go by when you have something to look forward to, right? Like when you have something, like I work Monday through Friday, maybe you have something planned on Wednesday or Thursday where you're eating out for dinner, you're meeting with some friends, going to a concert, an event, activity, like just anything to like mix it up, because like it gets so repetitive, right? And I get it, like once you have kids, like life is very fun, and you live life through them and through their eyes and their lens, and you do the same thing, but you do it with a kid. It's a different experience. So like, probably time for me to have a kid. And I get that. And, my wife and I, we try to tell each other, like, dude, like, just enjoy the boredom. Like, we may not have it ever again, right? Because, once you have kids, everything's exciting and nothing's the same. I'm not sure why this guy's like awkwardly cutting in my lane. Why do people drive in LA so bad? I don't understand. If everyone was on like a self-driving Tesla, I think everyone would be a better driver. I don't know. Weird. Anyways, just want to share that, long delayed gratification is tough. Patience is tough. And you just gotta stick to the plan. And when you're being tested, when times are getting tougher, oh, that's why there's an accident. That's funny. Stop tailgating yourselves. Oh my god. When times are tougher, that's when you, basically gotta distract yourself and find a way to just keep on going, to extend this as long as possible, right? So for me, I got vacations lined up. I got Coachella lined up. Got Valentine's Day, some other activities lined up. And, starting to meet with a lot of people in my school community who are local. So anyways, like I said, not trying to come off as complaining, just want to share the mindset, the thought process of somebody who's, mastered delayed gratification, mastered patience, but even I lose it sometimes and get impatient, right? So I want to share, why I'm sharing this, because I want you to know it's normal. It's normal to feel this way, and it's normal to not want to be patient, and it's okay. You can splurge here and there. So maybe, like I said, I'm going to the mall tomorrow and we're gonna buy something nice, just for the heck of it, right? Because we worked hard and we grinded. So anyways, hopefully found value. Let me know like what year you are on your investing journey, if you're losing patience, and what you're doing to distract yourself from patience. Anyways, if you want to join my school community on a free trial, afterwards it's $30 a month, $1 a day. I have some courses in there. I do Q&As there if you want to talk to me directly, and network with other like-minded individuals who want to build wealth. Check it out. If you want to buy my multifamily course, I just lowered the price $300. If you're looking to buy small apartment complexes, please invest in your self-education. If you want coaching, if you want to use Steadily Landlord Insurance to get a free landlord insurance quote, click on the link down below. And if you want to use Lending One, who's my preferred lender right now, or send me an email. All my links are linked to down below. Otherwise, I hope to see you tomorrow at 8 a.m. Pacific time. I post every single day at 8 a.m. Pacific time. Otherwise, peace out and have a good day. Thank you so much.